Oh, is that not on? Is Nina Hayes on? Oh, sugar lumps. Are they on now? It's hard to
They
tell.
should be on. And if you want to turn yours on, so the red light is on.
There we go, I got this one on. Okay. Any questions, concerns, Harry, Sue?
No,
Go
these
ahead.
easements, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sue.
No, I was just going to say, my questions in reading this is interested to find that Phase 6 is going to go before Phase 4. This was a surprise to me.
Yeah, because with Phase 4, remember, we have the Enclave, Tony Lucera's project, which is on the left side of Federal Road, where Peter's Imports used to be. And Tony Lucera has a rather large piece of property there. And he is going to pay for all of the streetscape, 600 feet of it, in front of his property. That's about $1 million something to do, that the town would not have to pay. So as he gets his project going, we
Okay.
thought we'd move on to this.
Okay, great. And then, yeah, my other concern was that the homes on Laurel Hill, if you'd had any conversations with them.
We have not yet, because this Phase 6 just became coming into design and discussion in the last 2 to 3 months. We would have that conversation with them next spring, start to have that
'Cause
conversation.
this will affect them, even, just having the sidewalks in front of their homes.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to shovel them.
Yeah, well, a couple people have already, I've talked to a couple owners, just briefly, and
I would like them.
they would like to have a sidewalk so they
Yeah.
could just walk down to the downtown
Sure.
safely.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The last time we did the easements on Federal Road, everyone was supportive, because they support the plan. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Great. Nope, those were the only questions I had.
And we're not gonna be taking huge swaths of land from them. You know, it's just a small strip of land in the front of their property. Harry, any questions?
No, my only comment is the easements, that'll all be done with, locally. That has nothing to do with the state coming in with the easements, correct? That's,
Oh, we're not taking any easements from the state, just
Right,
from
it's just
individual
from the
property
indi-
owners,
right.
but they'll be paid for by the
Right,
project.
right.
Okay. Any further questions?
No?
So we have a motion, we had a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Well,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Even though we're talking about it new tonight, this is something that has been in the,
Oh, for-
the project's,
For
scope.
about over 12 years.
Right, so
Yeah.
there's no surprise here.
No,
It's just that
no.
we're moving ahead with that
We're
while
actually
we're waiting.
implementing what the plan was.
Thank you. I just
Okay.
want everyone to realize that.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Just to confirm, all those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Carries 3-0. Now we have new school, snow clearing. Mary, Chris, would you like to give us a presentation? Mary is our Director of Public Works. And Chris is in charge of
Parks and Rec.
everything else.
I will take out stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Parks and Rec, I'm sorry.
So as Julie's looking, we just have the addendum for the packet is all that we have. We don't have a formal presentation. But we're here this evening to request consideration for some funding for a piece of equipment, specifically a used CAT 908M wheel loader with metal plus for use in our snowplow operations. And we have included this in our 10-year capital plan in anticipation of the opening of the new Canyon Ridge Elementary School in fall 2022. And we have the need for the equipment sooner than expected due to the placement of temporary construction fences needed to secure the site currently. So as many people know, our department is responsible for snow removal at all the schools, and we need to plan now for conditions we expect to encounter this winter at Huckleberry High School. We believe the best way of managing this is by using a wheel loader with metal press. The equipment will give us flexibility to move and pile snow in ways that we cannot with our current equipment. With fencing and parking areas, as well as the emergency access path behind the school, we will be unable to plow snow in the same manner as we have before. We respect that a $99,900 request outside of the regular budget season is a large one. Of the three options we'll present, it is our preferred option. We believe it is the best use of town funds because the town will own a piece of equipment that is needed and will be needed going forward. It's an investment for the future. We do have two other options for consideration. The first is to rent a CAT 908M or similar and purchase a snow picker box. The estimate for that is $19,849. This is our second option because rentals cannot be guaranteed at this time. We may not hear anything on the status of a rental unit until sometime in November.
Mary, quick question, is that per year? How long is that rental, the
That's for
19,000?
4 months. It's a
4
4-month
months,
period.
thank you.
Additionally, monies paid toward a rental could instead be put towards purchasing equipment. The third option is to secure a vendor to assist us with operations that help us rental this winter. Ideally, the vendor can supply an additional truck and driver and machine operator to move snow around the property as needed. We estimate this at about $19,000 for this season. This is our least preferred option, as we like to keep full control over snow removal operations at the schools without reliance on an outside vendor. Additionally, monies paid directly to a vendor for services could instead be put toward equipment purchase. So we're grateful for the opportunity to make our needs known, and we'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Yeah, so I've got a question. So we get the 908, it's not only useful for removing snow, it's something Public Works and you have both been asking for a couple years for other projects as well.
It's definitely something that can be used for other projects
Okay.
and for both departments.
You know, I don't know if people can see it. I wish we could, there we go. If you see back here on the bottom left, that fence is about 30 feet from the back of the school. We do a lot of parking in the back of the school, so and it runs along the length of the building. So you can't just plow.
We do have funding for this current fiscal year for a plow with, a truck with a plow and a sander. We have not yet procured that.
Right.
And so we do possibly have some funding to be put towards another purpose as well.
So you're saying we could, in effect, swap the 68,000 that we have for the truck and the sander, right? For this project, because this has achieved a higher need, and then perhaps do that next year?
Correct. We're not saying that we don't need the truck. because
No,
we
you do,
very
but-
much do, but it's a very similar purpose, and so, because we have that money already allocated, we would
Yeah.
feel comfortable, since it's a similar purpose, of using it for any purchase.
Are you comfortable we can get through another year with the equipment we have? Or is it a little bit of a crapshoot? Never say
Chris?
never, right? You just don't know.
It's a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah.
Always with one operation, you're gonna be, you're under the gun, so you have to
Yeah.
be able to be there. However, just because of the site itself, the way it exists currently, the trade-off of maybe not having a truck for this fiscal year is probably a better trade-off as far as efficiency and being able to maybe guarantee the school being open on time and being able to just, the logistics of the snow removal process in the school is just much more difficult now.
Yeah.
So I would say on the sense of, of course you don't, it's always a give and a take a little bit, but the equipment that we're asking for would not only be more of a benefit for this season, but also for the upcoming school project.
Right.
Mary, my point was that we do have the truck, the plow truck coming. This fence is temporary. This fence is only going to be for this season. And I would think my thought would be to spend as least amount of money on something that's going to go away in the spring. So, if we could rent and spend less than $20,000 to get through this, then we would, and it might not even be that way depending on how bad the snow is. I don't think we had a snowstorm after.
That's
Well,
also,
you still have to
Yeah,
one
go
of
could
those
be the
things
other
you
way
just
as
don't
well,
know.
but that's why, I think I would be more, my vote would be to go with the $19,000, find a vendor, just make sure that they understand that it has to be done, correctly, and, wait for the truck for next year.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with your line of thinking, because there's different ways of approaching the problem and different solutions. My only comment to that would be that we are hoping to have this machine when the new school opens, because we do feel a need for this machine again next winter when the new school has opened, because of the parking lots as they're designed there with all the traffic items. So this was something that we were thinking about in anticipation of the school opening, and we've just kind of pushed up our thinking of when it's needed to this winter, once we recognize the fence placement presenting some challenges for us. And so if we were never gonna need it again for the similar purpose, I would totally agree with everything that you're saying. I would say from our perspective, we know it's a need already, we're just asking for the need a little bit ahead of when we had anticipated it.
Mary, what other uses would it have in different seasons?
Yeah, Chris can probably speak to that just a little bit better than I can.
Well, the machine itself, it allows for a hookup for our multiple attachments that we already have existing. So being a beefier, bigger machine, it would be excellent for emergency response for the town. As you all know, the 100-year storms seem to be coming almost every year now.
Clearing trees.
Clearing trees,
okay.
it just gives you something with a little more substantial girth to it. It's also something that, of course, the highway department would be applicable to use, especially for a lot of their smaller road projects. Their big
Yeah.
loaders and stuff are really not practical. So I could see it being a help for them also.
Yeah, because they're big loaders, you can't take on the road.
It's difficult for
Yeah.
them, and, it just makes the job that much more efficient for them. But we have multiple uses for it, it could also be used in a
And correct me if I'm wrong, in the last year's capital budget, the Public Works Department fully supported your request because they wanted to borrow this all during the summer, right? Is that correct?
For road projects, I do remember that.
For road projects and things?
Yeah, so for the past couple of years, we've also talked about a mini excavator, which is
Right.
similar but not
Okay, is that what
exactly
I'm
the
thinking
same,
of?
and so that might have been the equipment that we were talking
Okay,
about. But
okay,
certainly
maybe
we do
I
a
got
lot
that
of
wrong.
equipment sharing and a lot of
Okay.
similar tasks by both departments.
One other concern I have is, residents are reeling with COVID, with their finances over the last 2 years. They know we're going to have issues with taxes with the new school coming in, which we understand. And to go to them, well, let's purchase this earlier than we actually need it. I don't think I could do that, so.
Where would the money come from? Steve, I should probably ask you or Marcia.
Well, we could swap the 68,000, let's say we're gonna purchase it. We have 68,000 in a new truck with plow and sander. That could roll over and that would get us to about $32,000 off. We do have a contingency fund, and I'm sure we'll be saving money in some other categories because we're watching the budget very, very carefully. Yeah, do you have any other questions, Sue?
Mary, do you have a reserve fund with the Park and Rec like the police and
No.
the fire?
Not for equipment.
Okay.
We're building them up for the fields,
Yeah.
but we don't have it
Okay.
for equipment,
Alright.
which would be great. That would be nice too. I see the advantages and disadvantages of all three of these options. I think we should have a conversation with the Board of Finance and see what they think.
Yeah.
So, I would make the motion, I would amend that motion to say that we forward this package to the Board of Finance for their input in the final decision. Just doing it for 1 year is a very attractive, but if we have to do it for 2 years, then it becomes less attractive. And if they're gonna use this equipment in the new school every year, and we have to hire someone to come do it for $20,000 a year, in 5 years you pay for the equipment, I would assume we would keep this equipment like we normally do for much longer than 5 years. So
So
it
you're
becomes a trade-off.
And you're saying, the Candlewood School. So, would you move it around and use it at the town hall, or use it at Wisconsin, or use it at the high school?
Absolutely,
So it's not something that's sitting there waiting for a snowstorm and,
Correct. I mean, when the opportunity comes, the way we're trying to set up the machine is so that not only will we have a dual function pusher box, which is needed for stacking and moving snow, it also has the capability to act as a plow. It also has the ability to funnel snow in different directions. So it's a really multi-use piece of equipment as far as snow removal. It also contracts tight enough where I can take that over the road. Where a standard bigger pusher box, if you go past Lowe's and shopping centers like that, they have the big 12-foot pusher boxes where you really can't take that down the road. So the thinking behind that was so that we could take that to other schools and other projects if needed, and be able to do it safely and get it across the road.
Mary, how are we doing the islands now that we have?
Well, before at Huckleberry Hill School, we could just go in straight lines and go down past the hillside to push the snow, and now the fences are there. So we have.
No, I mean without the fence. In other words, next year,
Yeah.
how do we do them now? How do we do the islands that we have now? And my question is, why can't we continue to do them at this school?
So I think with the new school parking lot, and forgive me because I don't have the diagram in front of me, but my recollection was that there were a lot more islands.
There are.
And the islands also had plantings in them, and so we can't push snow on top of the islands as we have before, so we're gonna have to push the snow around the islands into other locations, and so we're looking for ways that we can most efficiently do that. We're honestly just looking for ways to meet the needs of the schools, and so, we can do that through having our own machine, through renting a machine, or through having a vendor come in and help us, and
Right.
we're grateful for any of those options, because we just wanna try to do a good job for the town.
Yeah, because the parking lots at Huckleberry right now, before construction, were completely open,
Sure.
Correct.
right? So you could push the snow wherever you wanted. The new school has 4 or 5 islands in between with extenders at the end of each island to delineate the parking spaces, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember, this is before our time, when we had the huge storms that one year, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, didn't we hire companies to come take the snow away because we had no place to put it?
I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but it's not uncommon for towns to have to do that, because the Public Works Department can only be stretched so far in terms of
Yeah.
uploading the snow into the trucks and dumping it in alternate sites, and so it wouldn't surprise me if the town had to do that at that time.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I mean, I don't do this for a living, but I would, rather than push the snow onto the island, just push it the other way, push it in and then take it away. So I'm not sure that's a real issue, not wanting to push it onto the island, just push it the other way. I just would, I don't think, I would just like the Board of Finance to know that I'd rather invest 19,000 now, put it, see how it goes.
So
see-
you
see if we
prefer
can-
renting or hiring a company?
Hiring a company.
Okay.
Because if we rent, we have to buy the $25,000 piece of equipment to go with it, correct? Isn't that correct?
The metal-
Yeah,
the
yeah.
control.
So it wouldn't be
Okay.
19, it would be close to
19 plus 25. right?
45, yeah.
That becomes less popular.
In fairness, for the number 2, for the renting of the Cat 908 with equipment with the Metal Plus, so the Metal Plus is probably not what we would want to put on a rental piece of equipment, as I've since learned. We would most likely be getting a pusher box, so that 19,000 and change number actually is a solid number for the second option.
So
Oh,
that's an
okay.
all-in price.
We would be purchasing a pusher box
Oh,
for
okay.
about 10,000, and then the rental would be about 9,000.
Oh, okay,
So all in for the year, 19,800.
okay.
Correct.
And if we hire a company, 19,000.
Correct.
So they're pretty similar.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, those are our
Yeah.
best estimates, you know,
Right.
it's hard to
Right,
get
it's hard to,
hourly rates and kind of estimate the hourly
Yeah.
rates for machines right now.
yeah. Sue, any further questions?
What would be the lifetime of a used piece of equipment? How many years do you think we could have it?
Well, my guess, and Chris's guess might be 2 different guesses, I would estimate at least 7 to 10 years. Chris, is that?
I would say for the use of the hours that it's used, I would say you have a good solid 10 to 12 years on equipment, and possibly even longer.
Right. So the cost of having someone coming in for 5 years, we could have had a new piece of equipment, or
Yeah.
it would have been paid for. And the next few years are free.
Yeah, and there's, there's no right way to kind of manage this.
I mean, we're doing islands now. I mean, we're doing islands now. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
sure
Yeah, here.
how things are
Town
gonna
hall.
be that much different.
To address that a little bit, yes, we do islands now, yes, that is correct. But you also have to understand a little bit when we're giving that school design, that they had areas where they had allocated for snow removal, where they wanted to see us taking snow and moving it around. Yes,
Mhm.
there are many areas in schools where we can take snow, we can put it alternately in spots, we can move it from here to there. But essentially, you're trying to beat a deadline on a most storm basis, So you need to be able to take that as efficiently and move it around as quickly as you can. The entrances to the school, it's a little bit more involved than what's in Huckleberry now. Now it's a straight shot across the front of the school. Now you're gonna have a circular entrance, there's gonna be some bridges involved. Now whether or not that's in winter use, I'm not sure. We also talked about a greenway access around the back of the school, which I didn't really support. However, it's still emergency access. So there's a lot more ins and outs than maybe a typical parking lot, like the high school parking lot. And
Right.
at the high school, it's pretty wide open, a few islands here and there, you navigate it and get rid of it. The new school it definitely poses some other problems.
Okay.
That's true. Okay, so I would leave my motion as is and forward this to the Board of Finance to get their input. I'm not smitten with any of these choices. I'd like to see what the Board of Finance has to say. I see the advantages and disadvantages of purchasing it. We have it, we can use it in the summer for other projects. But I also see your point is keep the costs down as much as possible. You know, what do you think? You agree or no?
I see the 19,000 as you're throwing that away,
Mm-hmm.
where you could put it towards, and I don't know how the financing would be, that's what I'd want to know, is, where's the money coming from? Do we have the money? That sort of thing. I think that's going to make a big difference, is,
Yeah, if
can we afford it? If we can't afford it, well, then we do the,
Yeah, if we
rental,
swap
but-
the truck out and put that in next year's budget, then we'd be talking about 32,000 out of pocket. And we do have funds in our capital non-recurring, right? That could cover this. So we wouldn't be doing a special appropriation or asking residents for additional money.
I like the idea of looking down the road and saying,
Yeah, I do
okay,
too.
it's going to save us eventually more money.
I do too.
by having
Yeah, I
it
like
instead
that
of
too.
renting it. My
I like
opinion.
that too. Okay. So my motion is to approve this project, right, in one of the three forms. We have a second, and I would say move it to the Board of Finance for further discussion and a final decision. And I'd say we would recommend that, I would say, I agree with Sue, that we not rent, that we, I lean towards purchasing this equipment, because I think we can use it in a lot of different spaces,
Right, but purchasing a used one. We're not
purchasing a
new one,
used one.
which would be easier to get than trying to get a new one, correct?
Steve, will the final decision be made by the Board of Finance, or will that come back to us?
No, it would be made, unless we make one decision here, it would be their final decision, right? And they could even change what we say anyway. They could say, no, we only want to allocate 19,000, and we'd come back and
Yeah.
have a quick
So
meeting.
could you say it one more time?
So the motion is to move this forward to the Board of Finance with all three options available to be described by Mary and Chris at the Board of Finance meeting, and that the Board of Selectmen leans towards the purchase of equipment versus renting or hiring a company. Does that make sense? You agree that's what we have
Yeah,
said?
because I think it
Okay.
comes down to the dollars, and it's Board of Finance
Right.
that is going to know that.
Yeah, they're going to make a decision anyway. Okay. Any further questions, considerations?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? So you're against in the sense you don't want
I'm
to send
against
it off?
because I don't want to be part of saying that the Board of Selectmen
Okay,
want to spend the money for a new one.
okay, so let that.
Respectfully, I'm doing it.
That's fine, that's fine. Let's say that passes 2-0 with Harry dissenting. Thank you very much, we really appreciate it.
Mary, thank you, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, monthly agenda items, coronavirus. So I had sent out a code red 2 weeks ago that showed that our case rate in Brookfield was 18.1, and our positivity rate on tests was 4.7. Last week, we got a better report where the case rate was 14.7, and the positivity rate went to 3.7. In our discussion, Sue and I had a discussion on this, and we've also discussed this at length with the Director of Public Health. Our best guess is here, and it is a guess, is that we can eliminate the mask mandate when the positivity rate falls below, the case rate falls below 10, and the positivity rate falls below 3 for 2 weeks in a row. We think it's not a perfect solution, but I think it's a good solution. And that's where we are right now with coronavirus. As you know, the governor has issued new executive orders have been given powers by the legislature, and the schools will be masked for the indeterminate future right now. He hasn't said how long he's going to do that for, but right now it's February, so we'll see where he ends up on that. It should be noted that when we were at 8.1 2 weeks ago, we had the single highest rates of all the surrounding towns, with the exception of Bridgewater. But the problem in Bridgewater, one case will push Bridgewater up 10 on the case rate because they have so few residents. But compared to all the other towns around us, even Danbury, Brookfield was higher. We're down in the middle of the pack now, which is good, but we're still not where we want to be.
Steve, was that because of wasn't there a team that had to quarantine because of when?
There was some cases in the schools where I
Yeah.
think anecdotally, I don't know, so somebody came from Florida and there were 30 people who had to quarantine.
Okay.
I don't know for a fact that's
Yeah.
Florida, but
Okay.
that's what I was told. And so the schools are working on this diligently every single day, also with the Director of Public Health. So, and next, the Coffee with the Community will be on Saturday, October 30th, from 9 to 10:30 at JJ Stacks, which is located at 537 Federal Road. We encourage any residents who want to come meet the selectmen, and we'd love to talk to you.
Steve, we did have, Sue and I did have
Yeah.
high school, a high school student come to us with some questions, and he's an Eagle Scout. We had a good chat with him.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Is he the one doing the gazebo or a different one?
Different.
Different one. Great, great. I wasn't there. I was on vacation, so thank you guys for handling that. We did get one letter of correspondence from Country Kids Play Farm, and now we will move on to the financials. Marcia?
You should have received a copy of the revenue and expenditures. Our revenues are in good shape, that we're not aware of any big exceptions, other than we're starting to collect the money from Storm Isaias, which was last August 4th of 2020, from FEMA. That our expenditures, again, they're in good shape. There's nothing that's concerning to us. The auditors have been in, and they're finalizing their audit. We are, our bond rating, did you want to mention that, Steve?
Oh, yeah. So we had Standard & Poor's, you know, we're borrowing for the second half of the school, and Standard & Poor's came in and reaffirmed our AAA rating, which is the highest rating you can get. That rating, they rated us higher than U.S. government debt. They call it higher than sovereign. So our debt is better, safer than U.S. government debt. That leads us to believe that we'll get a similar interest rate to what we got last year. If you remember, the plan for the new school called for the town to borrow the money at between 4% and 6% over 30 years. Because we got such a low rate, we were able to borrow at 1.55%, and we were able to bring that down to 20 years borrowing. That, compared to the original plan, will save the town over $21 million just last year. This year, we think we'll get a similar rate and a similar savings. We are also refinancing some small debt that we're allowed to refinance, and we believe we'll save $525,000 just refinancing that. S&P did give us, they said strong management, very strong liquidity, strong balance sheet, strong controls. Their report on us was about as good as you can get. And we worked very hard, and we want to thank the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Ed for working with us to make sure that we can maintain that rating. A lot of towns in the pandemic decided to dip into their reserves to pay for things, and they're going to pay for it, and you're seeing it now in their ratings going down. And if your rating goes down, for every letter that your ratings go down, you can expect to pay between, in my opinion, 50 and 75 basis points more, which is, 0.75%. It adds up to a lot of money when you're talking about borrowing millions of dollars. So thank you for bringing that up.
And so tomorrow we sell the bonds that last year at this time we had 12 different bidders on the bonds, and we got a remarkably low interest rate. I've already been told by our financial advisor not to expect that same, but it should still be under 2%, and he thinks it's great timing because the rates are now starting to rise. So don't expect as great as last year, but still, and all in all, that a really good rate.
Great. Are there any questions on the revenues or expenditures? There aren't, just small items that we're keeping track of. You have any questions? I was fine with them too. Thank you very much, Marcia. Okay, new items. I would make a motion that the selectmen approve establishing a new fund in our accounting records system called Munis for the newly formed American Rescue Plan Act Ad Hoc Committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second? So, Marcia, you'll do this a little better than I would. Why would the town want to set up a separate account?
So we try to have money that is restricted for a specific purpose, separate from the general fund, so that it doesn't clutter up our fund balance, that we can only spend it on certain things. And generally, we would put it in either the town or the Board of Ed's grant fund. But because this is $5 million, it's its own fund, you're not required to approve a new fund, but it is best practice. So essentially, a new fund means that the money will be segregated in its own trial balance. We've done the same for the school. We've got, it's a separate column on the financial statement. So we're looking for you to approve us to add a new column to the financial statements.
So Marsh, this will not be a line item on the budget, correct?
No.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
I just don't want people to.
No.
confused.
It's just segregating
Right.
the ARPA money, so it's very clear where it is, very clear how it's being spent, and gives us just a little more
And then
control and
once
transparency.
the money is spent, that column
Then we
will
will
come up.
close the account once we're finished out with it.
Correct.
Steve, can I just ask you
Yes.
to speak about the committee that has been put into place for ARPA?
Sure,
Because I think there's a lot of confusion
okay.
from people that I'm hearing, is that the three of us are going to be making that decision, and that's not the case?
No, that is not the
We've-
case.
We've gone out, and we've got a committee of
Um,
15, but go ahead.
Yeah, but just to start, these funds would follow the normal process of town appropriations. The only change will be is the ARPA committee, which is comprised of 10 people, residents, and 5 liaison from the various boards, Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, to advise them, will make recommendations to the town as to how to spend the $5 million that we've been given. Once they've made those recommendations, then like a normal budget, those recommendations will come to the Board of Selectmen first. We will look at it, review it, make a decision on what we think we should spend the money on, and then we send it on to the Board of Finance. And then the Board of Finance does the same thing, just like we normally do in our budget process. So it's a multi-step process that has to have multiple approvals to actually start spending the money.
And a great deal of transparency.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
yeah.
collecting information now, they're encouraging people, reach out if you've got ideas of what you might want to use it for,
Yeah,
reach out to them.
yeah,
They're
because we
taking
as a
everything into consideration.
Right, because we as a board talked about this, and I know some towns are doing this. The Board of Selectmen is just making the decisions and sending them to the Board of Finance. We didn't think that was the right thing to do. We wanted input from residents, we wanted input from parents, we wanted input from everybody who wanted to send us ideas, and a number of people have. And some great ideas have come up, right, that the ARPA committee will look at and make recommendations to us.
Businesses.
I didn't think it was right, and I don't think Sue or Harry felt it was right, just for 3 people to make that decision. It's $5 million. We're going to get it one time. We have to be very careful with it, and we have to be transparent. So the committee is going to come back to us with their final recommendation. They've met twice now. They're meeting right now upstairs. And we've asked them to come back to us by the February Board of Selectmen meeting and give us a final report on how they believe we should spend this money. We're going to ask Colette Sturm, their chairman, to come to the November meeting and give us an update on where they
Yes,
are and
okay,
what they're
good.
doing.
That was my next,
Yeah, because they've only had 2 meetings. They haven't even begun to prioritize.
it'd be nice to know how many, approximately, how many residents are contacting them, how many businesses.
Yeah.
Where they're getting their information.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be advertising as well.
So that's where we are with that. So I made the motion. We have a second. Any further questions? All those in favor of establishing the second account, the new account, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. Okay, 43 Old Bridge Road. The owners of 43 Old Bridge Road are willing to donate property to the town. We sent the Planning Commission and the Conservation Commission a note about this, and they both approved this, and the Planning Commission, they approved our 824 referral request on this for any time we purchase land or obtain land or take land. The issue here is that there are going to be some costs to take this land, and we would take it in as open space. It abuts the open space that the town already owns that is on Lake Lillonona, on Graysbridge Road. You know, the Boy Scouts camp down there every year, 2 or 3 times a year. This abuts it. It would be in addition to that property. It will cost between $10,000 and $15,000 for all the legal fees, the site surveys, all of those sorts of things. The Conservation Committee has agreed to use their open space funds to pay that amount, so it wouldn't come out of the town, it'll come out of the open space fund. And I think it's a good idea
Oh,
to
absolutely.
preserve open space, especially when it's being donated to the town.
Exactly.
And the open space fund is specifically for this purpose. And that money is generated when developers develop a development, and let's say they want to put houses closer together, so they don't have to run electricity for 500 yards between houses, they can do it for 200 yards. So they can do one of two things: they can donate land to the town, or they can pay for that privilege so that the town can then in turn buy property. And that's exactly what this fund is meant for. So both the Conservation and the Planning Commissions are in favor of this. So I would make a motion that the.
Can I
yes,
just
go
ask
ahead.
one question real quick? I would assume that they're saying that this is not feasible to build on, didn't I read that? Or that it's more costly to build? I'm just thinking of future money for the town and taxes, but I also want
Yeah,
as much
no,
open land as.
yeah, no, this land is now attached to a house.
Okay,
The lady wants to sell the house, but no one wants to buy the land with it,
Okay.
because from talking to Alice Stu, it's not real buildable. If you
Right.
remember, it gets pretty steep
That-
going
that's what
down
I,
to the
that's what I
lake.
had heard, yeah.
So we're not giving up a lot of taxable
Okay.
value here by
Okay,
doing
good.
this. That's a very good question though, Harry. So I make a motion that that the Board of Selectmen forward a request to the Conservation Committee for approval of between $10,000 and $15,000 from the Open Space Fund for the cost of recording and legal fees for the land donation at 43 Old Bridge Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries 3-0. Okay. Pocket Park land purchase. Do we have a display on this one, Ginny? I don't think we do.
I don't think, no, we don't.
No, I don't think we do. So if you remember, we were in part of Phase 3 of the streetscape, which goes from where the Hearth Restaurant is up to where the dry cleaners is, and then around the corner back to Federal Road. There is a small piece of property in front of the Hearth that's actually owned by the state. It's like an island, and then a couple other small pieces of property. And we had last year been planning to put a pocket park in there, right? And a small display and some benches and stuff, just bring a little bit more flavor to the town center. And it got really involved with the state, and the state said, no, we're not gonna give you that land, you have to buy it from us. You know, okay. So we have been through this process once before with the state, and it took them 9 months to get a price to us. We didn't wanna hold up Phase 3 of the streetscape, which goes up Old Middle Road, so we took the pocket park out. So now what we're looking at is going to the state and asking them what the purchase price is. We have to do a filing with them and pay $500. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. We have to send an 824 request to the Planning Commission on this, again, anytime we obtain a piece of property. And then the state will sit on it for, I don't know if the last one, 9 months to a year, and come back to us. So that's where we are with that.
But if something were to happen, the price comes back very high, we have right of first refusal.
Yeah, we could ask them, they would always give us the right of first refusal as a
Right,
town.
right.
They would.
So by moving this forward, we're not obligated.
No, we're not obligated to do anything with it. And it's of no use to the state. It's just a piece of property that abuts their road, federal road. So I would think that the purchase price would not be
I mean, do you have
that.
any idea what, I mean,
No, and you know, with the state, who knows? In the thousands, right?
okay.
I don't
So we're
think
not
it-
talking tens of thousands, you don't think?
I think if they said tens of thousands, we'd say no.
Well, can I tell you what the size of the parcels are?
Yeah,
So parcel 1 is 4,400 square feet.
right,
I mean, that's, some people's homes, but parcel 2 is 6,800 square feet,
right,
and parcel 3 is 3,900.
right.
So it's not a lot of property. And
No.
there's no other use for it. You can't put anything else on it. You can't build
Well,
anything. You can't
what's the
do
government
business.
charge for a shovel? I mean, costs you $500 for a shovel.
Yeah, well,
I think, I agree with you, it's good to do, but I'm always hesitant of
yeah,
making a decision when we have no idea. I know it's gonna be small though.
Right, and we know that we can walk away.
Yeah.
But I know the Arts Commission is very interested, and they do want to still
yeah,
put a
the Arts
sculpture
Commission is.
in the pocketbook.
And so to move this forward, it costs
Yeah.
$500.
Is it gonna be any, a play area at all, or is it just like an open
No,
park?
no, it's not big enough to
Okay,
be a play
okay.
area, and it's right next to the road.
Yeah.
The state had asked us last week, exactly what do you plan to do with this property? With something like
Yeah.
that, I think, in mind. They do not want a playground 5 feet from Federal Road.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
We're just gonna make it a park. So if they come back to us with whatever number and we don't like it, we just say, okay, thank you, we're not gonna buy it. You know, they have to be reasonable about it.
Right. I know when we are at the, I was at the ribbon cutting for Dunkin' Donuts, they're like, okay, when can you get this pocket park in there?
Right.
So it's just gonna be a great draw for people coming off the Greenway and.
So we're gonna have
place to
benches
sit.
in there? Is that, or?
The original plan was a couple benches and a piece of sculpture, and then some bushes, you know.
Introduction to the area.
It might be nice. It's
Yeah.
nice to bring a little more green to the downtown.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the update on that. Okay, on the consent agenda, I would make a motion that we approve the items on the consent agenda, which include grant for the Brookfield Social Services Department, reinventing food pantries for $1,090. It's a straight, flat-out grant, no match. And for the Social Services Department, an Alice Enhancement Grant for the fall of 2021 for $1,000, which is where they help some of our people who are less fortunate.
Alice is from the United Way,
Yes.
so if people aren't familiar with Alice.
Yes, it's a United Way, that's true. Sorry, I didn't say that. The Board of Selectmen meeting minutes for September 13th to September 25th. We hired an employee, Deborah O'Brien, in the library, and 4 driveway bonds at 11 Pocono Ridge Road, 12 Maple Lane, 15 Prospect Drive, 14 Foxtail Lane. And that's the whole consent agenda. Do I have I'll make a motion to approve that. Do I have a second?
Second. Very good.
Harry, we take Harry's second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Hey, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're an aye too? Okay. That passes. Okay, appointments. I make a motion that the selectmen appoint Tamara McMahon Schreifer as a member filling a vacancy on the Historic District Commission for a term of 10/4/21 to 2/5/24. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who's she replacing? Do you know?
Three
Historic
positions.
No, it was an open position for a
Okay.
while.
Okay.
Okay. I think for like 2 years. I don't remember who resigned. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Are you in
She's got-
favor?
Oh,
She's
yeah,
got a great
that's
background.
Yeah,
She'll be a great
She does? Oh,
asset
good.
to that, yeah.
good. I would make a motion that the selectmen appoint Kerry Swift as a member filling a vacancy on the Energy Advisory Board for a term of 10/4/21 to 2/3/25, as recommended by the DTC.
And
Do
was
I have
that
a
was
second?
it-
Second?
What, was that an open position as well, or do you,
Yeah.
okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sue seconds. Any further discussion? Kerry's been working on town projects and things for the
Yeah.
town for many, many, many years, so I think she'll make a great addition to that.
And on her bio brief, I love how she finished it with, "We don't have a smooth running town without volunteers." So
That's true. She
thank you
does say
to
that.
her for volunteering.
Yeah. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's the end of our normal agenda. Public comment. Do we have a list of people who would like to make public comment?
Patricia Callahan? Would you like to get up and? Oh, would you like to get up first? Barbara Locke? Okay.
The only thing is if no one can hear you if you're sitting there.
Could
like-
you go to the,
Okay, thank you.
okay, could you?
Go ahead, Art.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Pat Callahan, Brooks, Brooks Quarry Road, Bethel Housing Authority, Brookfield. I'm here because I've been discommoded like everyone else with the project going on with the pathways and porches and everything getting redone. Which started in August. Now it's 2 full months, and I understand, I heard that it's gonna have to be redone. But what got me here tonight was that, my brother was visiting, and he has a cane, and, you know, not good balance, but I was walking him to his car, and he fell on the corner of the building 3, the corner, the crushed concrete was all there in a corner type place with soft mud and dirt, and he fell completely down, just missed his head against the lamppost and the sign that was underneath it. I have pictures of it on my cell phone. But I wrote a report out. I included everything I knew in the report, and I emailed Michael Steele to inform him. For the record, I want this on my record because I went and asked Gina how long this was going to be like this, because my sister and her family were visiting last week in Tennessee, and they had to see all this stuff going on. But I asked Gina, how long is it gonna be like this, because they told us 2 months. Possibly this would last 2 months. Now it's going on more than 3 months, and I said to Gina, when is this going to be finished? Oh, she said it's going to be finished in at least a year. She said, I told everyone a year. That's not true. Everyone said 2 months. They all said 2 months. And she said hopefully she put my report in the file. But, you know, it isn't just that my brother fell. I was very worried about him. He bruised his bad shoulder, his left shoulder. The pathways are crumbling and strewn with pebbles and stones. You can't hardly bring your laundry cart up and down the path without stumbling. The porch area where they redid on my building, building 2, is about 1 inch from the cement. All around the perimeter of the porch is the hole, cement about 1 inch open. And I'm always afraid of a mouse or something coming in there. But the worst thing is that when it rained, there was a sea of mud flowing down all the pit. And then we were told we couldn't go out the front door. But I have to say, the workers, when they finished, they took the yellow tape off the front, and I asked them, can we go out the front now? And they said, yes. He said, yeah, so, but Gina puts it in her notes, and that we do it at our own risk. I'm not doing it at my own risk. It was told to me it was fine to walk out the front door. Actually, the back way was more risky. It's very hazardous, and some of the building is very hazardous. And, I don't know what else to do. I don't wanna live with this for a year.
I don't
Steve,
think it's
would this
gonna
be
be a
for-
year. I've been talking to Michael Steele about this. So everyone's aware the Brookfield Housing Authority is a separate legal authority. The town has no control over the authority.
Well, there must be somebody who can help us.
Well, we have been helping them. We, in some cases, we supported them with donations, and we've also been talking with Michael, and we have waived all of the permit fees in order to get this work done quickly. Last week, I waived the bond fee that needed to be put up for this project to start. Michael tells me the project was supposed to start this week, the actual laying of the sidewalk.
Well, they haven't showed up in 2 weeks.
Let me finish. It's supposed to start this week, because they didn't have their bond permit, and they didn't have their, all the other things they needed with the town, their building permit. We waived that bond, and Michael told me last Wednesday that they were gonna start this Monday, but it's been raining, and you can't put concrete down when it's raining. And he told me it would be about a 2-week project. So we've been following this, and hopefully it'll be done in the next 2 weeks, not 1 year.
Can I just make a
Sure.
statement? Can we maybe check on Thursday with Mike?
Yeah.
To make sure that the project started, if it isn't, fine.
Yeah, we've been talking every couple of days, because we
And
know
then we
you're
can
being
get back,
disadvantaged.
we can get back to you
Yeah.
with that information.
Yeah.
Exactly how does one get in touch with Michael Steele? Pat here has emailed him. He doesn't respond.
We can encourage him to respond.
Does not respond.
Yeah, I'll ask
I mean,
him.
you know, I spoke to the fire marshal
Mhm.
today.
I understand your concern entirely. The only power we have is the power of
I know,
suasion.
but he was the one that said to me, get in touch with the board of,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the housing.
No, we welcome you, and also the
No,
housing
not
authority.
you people, get in touch with the board of the housing authority.
Right.
I said, how do you do that? Because he does not respond.
The housing authority has a number of members. You can
No,
email.
no,
Yeah,
And they've lost
two.
it.
Oh, they're down to 2, Howard and Michael?
And we're not invited to the meetings.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, you know, go to a meeting, but you're not allowed to speak.
We can't tell them how, we don't have the power. I understand your concern,
Well,
but
maybe you could tell us who could help us.
We've spoken
it's
to
the housing authority.
We've spoken to,
Why don't,
I think speaking tonight also is, I mean, you're in conversation with Michael, so
Yeah,
you
we're
can tell
in
him.
conversation.
I mean,
So I will
we're
talk to
hearing
Michael and
these
express
stories.
all of your concerns, right, and ask him to get back in touch with you.
And I understood that the four of us here tonight, we are here as individuals.
Sure.
We're not representing the community.
No, you're here as
We're not
residents.
opposed to the community.
Right, right,
We're
right,
not
right.
saying
Right.
we're going towards the board of
Okay, so
selectmen.
here's what I'll do. I'll talk to Michael
We're
tomorrow.
speaking as individuals.
Right, I'll talk to Michael tomorrow
Okay.
and push him, one, to move the project forward, and to try to be better at communicating back to all of the residents.
And you can see Susan uses a walker.
Yeah.
You can only imagine how
I was told, my family.
Ma'am, you would have to come up to the podium. I'm sorry, no, stay there. You're in a walker. But
we just don't, just the people can't hear, but that's okay.
it's just sometimes people can't hear you because we try to
Well,
record this.
This is what I had to bring because I use a rollator, which has 4
Right.
wheels and it's longer.
Right,
And my back porch has been torn off. And there's just a slab. And it's 7 inches deep to get to
Mhm.
it. And the rollator alone doesn't quite fit on it.
right,
Let alone having a space for me to step down
Right.
with the rollator there. And he told my family, my brother, my cousin who talked to him last week, and they were gonna put a ramp on, a temporary ramp,
Mhm.
and then they were going to, when they asphalted, concreted, whatever, a ramp was gonna be put on for me to get off the back door
hmm
so that I could get out with the rollator, and somebody mentioned going to the fire marshal and just letting him know that
sure,
if I couldn't get out the front, I would have an access to get out the
Sure.
back.
sure.
And they said, no problem, we will make sure she has a ramp.
Okay.
So, I know, it's been
Well-
raining, they haven't, but I mean, I have no access out
Right.
back.
I just like to say one more thing. There never was a handicap access in the place.
Mhm.
Very, very, I mean, even before these people came, the property manager people, there really wasn't a decent, I mean, I'm not handicapped, but.
No, I agree with you because the rules were different when the place was built.
Right.
And when you change
Right.
like they're doing now, like we're doing the front of this building, then when you do make that change, it has to be handicapped accessible. It has to meet all ADA requirements. But if it's existing and it didn't meet it, there's no obligation for them to go in and repair it. But now that's getting
understand
fixed.
that. I understand.
Now it's getting fixed.
But
My one friend was in the wheelchair, she's stuck on her porch. She really
Yeah.
can't maneuver the wheelchair around the dirt and the pebbles and the rocks.
Why don't we do this? Steve,
Yeah.
you're gonna contact Mike tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll call Michael.
It's going, I'm a contractor, so it's raining tomorrow, it's raining,
yes.
it's
It's supposed to
raining
rain
Monday,
tomorrow.
it's raining today, it's gonna rain tomorrow. Wednesday through Friday are supposed to be clear. He's supposed to start it,
That's what
tell
he's
him we got
supposed to do.
people
That's what
coming.
they told me.
And, can you please contact me and let me know what his
Sure,
answer is?
sure, because I talked to Michael on Friday about this, and making sure all the paperwork is done so they can start the project. But then we'll get back in touch
Well,
with you.
I mean, I appreciate it, I know they,
Yeah.
I mean, even this is hard to push
Sure.
on gravel and
Yeah,
snow.
on any hard surface.
Another avenue maybe we can contact too is Commission on Aging. They're meeting this week. And I know you have a Brooks Quarry liaison person who comes and updates us on what's happening. So we can bring it up to them as well.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's the problem, is that you're dealing with people mainly who are older,
yeah.
and also people who are handicapped.
Mhm.
Some people are physically handicapped, some people are mentally handicapped. And it's a mixed bag of whatever. And it's a very, I just want to read you this. This is their first, this is from 7/6/21, and I won't bore you with the whole thing, but I love this particular, we will be working with all the tenants on an individual basis to make sure everyone has a safe means of coming and going during the renovation. Now, ask me if anybody has contacted me on an individual basis to
Nobody.
find out if I am safe in my
Mhm.
apartment.
There's no.
The answer to that is no. And this is the, I call these things edicts that she sends out. And I'm sure maybe DeMarco Management Company is a good management company. The person we have managing the place is not a good person. But this is her, you're using the front walk at your own risk,
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that got me because
okay.
she's covering for herself, and we were told we could walk out the front way.
Right.
And now she's telling us, stay in the house as much as you can.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. During this time, stay in your house. Be sure you have, enough, food supply. Oh, where was that? Please. It is suggested, as you were advised, as to when the work will begin on your building. Limit your going out.
Yeah.
Prepare now by stocking up on your food supplies for several days, making allowances for your doctor's appointments, which sometimes you make a year in advance
Mm.
for your doctor's appointments. Make sure your medications are filled, and that you stay indoors. This is July 6th, and that you stay indoors as much as possible. This is for your safety, which probably is true, and to allow the workers to do their jobs as quickly as possible with no interference.
And one more thing. She always puts in her notes a silent threat of eviction.
I forgot that one. Oh, boy.
I mean, how
I
can they
have
write that and tell us that you're threatened with eviction? I mean,
That's what people don't
We
complain.
can't speak for the board and how they do things.
well, no, but I
We
mean,
will advocate for you with the housing authority and to get this project done as quickly as possible. I know what I was told, that it would start this week and be finished within 2 weeks,
I was
after
told
I
it would
signed
last
off
a
on all the
year.
permits. So I don't know what held it up from July, but I'll talk to
They made a
Michael again
mistake is what
tomorrow.
happened.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you all for
Well,
coming
thank
in.
you. I'm sorry, I know every time I come here, I sound
No.
That's what we're here
No,
for.
That's what we're here for.
Well, I've been upset about it for a while, but when my brother fell, I really got upset.
Mhm.
And I am
Sure.
aware of another person who fell in the community, and I'm sure that person is afraid to make a claim, come
Mhm.
forward, because of this eviction threat.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
afraid too, because Michael Steele already threatened me. He sent me a letter, an email. He said if I don't participate with Gina, with the tax, I think it was something to do with the taxes. I had a form that was perfectly fine for the IRS, but she didn't like it. He said if you don't do this, I'll send you a letter of eviction.
okay. We understand your concerns. We'll help you as much as we can.
Barbara has
We will.
one other concern that has nothing to do. You have to come up here, Barbara.
I'm sorry.
You have to come up here.
Thank you.
Not used to doing this.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for listening to us.
No, our pleasure.
Hi, my name is Barbara Boudreau, and I live in Building 1,
Uh-huh.
Apartment 3. I'm having a very serious issue with my HVAC unit, so unit like that. It barely works. It barely worked last winter, and going into now, it's going to be a big of a problem. Technically, it needs to be replaced. It has not been cleaned or serviced for 2.5 years. And dealing with Gina Creasy, she basically threatened me and said, when it stops working, I'll give you a fan, so she will not have any work done on it.
I talked to Michael about this very subject, and he said,
I have been trying to get in touch with Michael Steele for 2 weeks, and I can't get in touch with him.
huh.
I really need to talk to him. I mean, this is
Well,
a serious
I'll ask
issue.
him to get in touch with you
It's
again.
an old unit. It has not
Yeah.
been maintained for 2.5 years. I had to go last winter, taking a plastic chair, not covering it over it, and cardboard to keep it from freezing up. So it is an urgent thing, 'cause I need that. And the baseboard heating, if you turn it on, you smell cigarette smoke. It's so old.
Okay, I'll follow up with him on that also.
I would appreciate it.
My
I
pleasure.
can give you my phone number if you want to give it to Michael Steele. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, what's your number?
Do you want to do it now, or you want to write it
Yeah,
down?
can you just, you want to just walk up here?
Thank
and
you, I sure
You
will.
want to turn
Here,
it
just
over?
write it down for me,
Thank you.
because we don't want to go out across,
That's okay. Anywhere?
anywhere right there. And I'll follow up with him tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you, so it really is
You're
an
welcome.
urgent issue, because I
Yeah.
can't even turn it on and nothing
Okay.
comes out of it.
Okay.
And I really thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm glad I came. I should
Yes,
come here
Thank
again.
yes.
Anytime.
Yes.
Have a good night. Ginny, who else do we have?
Okay, we have Matt Grimes.
Hi, Matt.
Good evening, Select. Matt Grimes, live on Orchard Street. I thought that after I had spoken to the first selectman about a week ago, maybe incorrectly, that this was going to be on the agenda tonight, and I know I had a brief exchange with the Board of Selectmen. But I would really appreciate the Board of Selectmen taking the initiative to, on an ordinance to establish a 9/11 memorial committee. Town of Milford has had one for almost 20 years now. I think Brookfield is long overdue for one. The very first year after 9/11, 2002, the Brookfield High School Student Council really picked up the gauntlet on carrying forward with the visuals, because they had been so close to it. I mean, they had lived it. And probably for the next decade or so, they sponsored 9/11 visuals with the help of the juniors and the volunteer fire departments and everything. Then First Selectman Davidson had one in 2011 for the 10th anniversary, because it was the first year of the Rotary Memorial Garden outside. Then the Tinsley administration did it twice with the Historical Society and I believe the Rotary Club being involved. But town government really itself has not been the sole sponsor of it. But I think this would be a very good way to honor the victims of 9/11 every year. I think the Milford has done it properly. Danbury has taken a good memorial to it. The organization for the 20th anniversary was not handled properly at all. I think I spoke to all three selectmen about it, and they agreed with that. So I really would like to get the ball rolling. Any help you need, so that you don't have to need Attorney Beecher to review this. I'd be happy to review the legalities of it. I had to review them when I was town attorney in Milford. But I really think we're long overdue for it, and I really think that it's something that the community can get behind.
12,000 horsepower sets, over quadrupling the initial.
Oh,
startup.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, I see what you're
Initial
saying.
startup. So
Yeah.
Quadrupling the amount of emissions that's you know, 900 yards from Wisconsin Middle School with all the kids and everybody around. And
What they
everything
told
else.
me is that they're going to have less emissions
That's what they.
when they're
yeah.
finished.
I dealt with a lot of gas analyzers in my
Mhm.
history of automotive work and everything,
Yeah.
gas analyzers and everything, and
Yeah.
quadrupling your output and then saying it's gonna be less.
They're going taller as
It
well.
really doesn't make sense, but I was just concerned if you made any, you know, comments or wrote any letters.
No, I didn't make any comments to FERC at all on
When I
this.
looked at the board, I didn't see any comments from the town at all.
No.
And, I just got, the other comment is, I was reading of, phase 6 of town developments, and I was looking at, a couple of the, line items that we just wanted to see. $5,000 to remove one tree at a time.
To move one, I'm sorry.
To remove one tree, $5,000 each, 9 trees at a cost of $45,000. I've had trees taken down that.
I
I've never
don't,
paid
where are
fine.
you getting that number from?
It's right on the, you look at Greg Dombrowski's, you just had it up before, you had up the, on the street scope, phase 6, it's right on the sheet, the first sheet you have.
Oh, you mean putting trees in?
Estimate?
No, removing trees.
Removing trees?
Removing trees, $5,000, I just.
That's our
questioned that.
estimate?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's our estimate. Then we go out to bid. The last time we bid, we got 5 bidders for the streetscape, and it came in, all the bids came in under what our overall budget is. So we always estimate a little high on every project, because we don't know what the cost of steel is gonna be, we don't know what the cost of concrete's gonna be, we don't know what the cost of a lot of things are gonna be, particularly in this day and age. And so far, we've been pretty good at that. Every bid has come in under, for the most part, at least on the streetscape, bids have come in under. But that's what Greg Dembowski uses as a starting point to create a potential budget, so that then we go out to design. Then our designer gives us a much better budget. They go right down to how much concrete you need, how much bricks you need, how much granite, curbing you need, how many lights you need. And our designers in this case are really good, and they've done a very good job for us. So it's an estimate to start with on all of those you saw.
Okay, it was just listed as tree removal only.
Yeah.
It didn't say anything about, you know, putting landscaping.
Yeah.
Just removal as $5,000 a piece. I've never paid that for
No.
tree removal.
No, I haven't either. That's a lot of money to remove a single tree.
The other question I had was, is there a way to, town to come up with something, to, get a moratorium on the Housatonic Railroad for transporting flammable liquids through Brookfield, which they do,
I don't know what they transport.
they transport isopropyl.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
flammable liquid.
Uh,
And when they have the derailment
the
behind
town-
the post office,
yeah.
it's 150 feet from the post office.
Yeah, I agree.
One of those containers would have exploded,
Would have been a big problem.
so they're doing it regularly, and the track's in terrible shape, as you know, they've had over.
I agree with you.
Derailments,
I agree with you.
and the tracks are terrible shape, and have flammable
Yeah.
liquids going right to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. The town has virtually no control over that. They're not regulated, railroads are not regulated by the town in any way, shape, or form. We can't tell them to do anything. That's the law. Now, I advocated with them, but I did when they had their overturned truck behind
Yeah, that garbage.
that pile of garbage.
That was there for almost.
I
a
finally threatened them for fining them $100 a day, and that got them to remove it, because I was taking them before
year.
the
That was
blight
there for a
panel.
long time, almost a year. But if you
Yeah.
look at those tracks, the tracks are like this, and they're broken, and cracked, and.
Yeah.
And I said, flammable liquids going there every week.
I agree with you.
It's like,
Can we
Can you send them some
correspond with them?
pictures?
I mean, can we send, I mean,
disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah,
Send some pictures.
they're regulated by the feds, and we can send them pictures. My experience with the railroad company is they're completely unresponsive. And until I threaten to fine them,
Is a private company.
it's a private company. They're based down on the water in, I want to say Watertown, one of the towns along the water. And I've sent them a half dozen letters about the garbage pile they had back there.
Because even when you can see the old pictures when they had the derailment, they have the tankers connected to
Yeah.
it. So that's thousands of gallons of flammable liquid.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Does anybody else like to make a comment? Okay, hearing no more comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Ja- I'll take second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
I mean, you could reach out to them though, couldn't you, and just say, we're having complaints, we're worried. When was the last time you looked at the tracks?
I have, we talked to them. And this is true for
I'm
everybody.
not sure how to turn that off, Jim.
Oh, I'll take care of it.
He responded.